Welcome to Pop Culture Icons. I'm your host, Maya Starr. Today on Pop Culture Icons, imagine a world where your voice is deemed insignificant, your dreams dismissed, and your very existence relegated to the shadows. Today, witness how Jane Austen transformed societal constraints into literary triumphs. But be warned, the price she paid for passion might leave you questioning the sacrifices you're willing to make to leave your mark. Have you ever felt the weight of words left unsaid? That burning sensation in your chest when you know you must speak, but the world seems determined to muffle your voice. In a candlelit room in Hampshire, England, a woman's trembling hand grips a quill pen. Ink stains mar her fingers as she writes furiously, racing against both time and society's constraints. This is Jane Austen, and her story will make you question every time you've chosen silence over truth. The year is 1815. Jane pauses her writing as another cough racks her frame. At 39, she knows her health is failing, yet her eyes burn with an intensity that defies her physical weakness. Before her lies a crumpled letter, another rejection from a publisher who claims her work is too feminine for serious consideration. But Jane doesn't set down her pen. Instead, she dips it once more in ink and continues writing. You see, Jane Austen wasn't just writing stories. She was waging a quiet revolution with every word she penned. In an era when women were expected to pursue marriage as their sole ambition, Jane dared to create heroines who demanded more from life. She wrote not just for entertainment, but for liberation, both her own and that of countless readers to come. Picture a young Jane in her father's study, surrounded by books that feed her growing imagination. While other girls practice their needlework and piano, she observes. She watches the intricate dance of society with eyes that see past its polite veneer. During family gatherings, she notices how women's voices are systematically silenced, how their dreams are dismissed as frivolous fancies. But Jane refuses to accept this fate. When her family faces financial ruin after her father's death, she doesn't surrender to the expected path of an advantageous marriage. Instead, she transforms her keen observations into stories that would challenge the very foundations of her society. Success doesn't come easily. Jane's first novel, Sense and Sensibility, is published anonymously because a woman's name on a book cover would invite scandal. The money she earns barely covers the cost of publication. Yet something remarkable happens. Readers connect with her characters, seeing their own struggles reflected in her pages. But with each small victory comes a greater challenge. Publishers reject her subsequent works, claiming they're too controversial, too critical of society's cherished institutions. Jane faces a choice that might feel familiar to you: conform to expectations and find acceptance, or remain true to her vision and risk everything. If you're enjoying Pop Culture Icons, please like, subscribe, and scan the QR code for our free 7-day email course, The Fame Formula. Discover how unknowns like Elon, Taylor Swift, and Beyoncé became cultural phenomena. Now, back to the episode. Jane chooses authenticity. With pride and prejudice, she crafts a masterpiece that does more than entertain. It exposes the absurdity of a society that values wealth and status over character and intelligence. The novel becomes a sensation, though few know the author's true identity. Through her protagonist Elizabeth Bennet, Jane creates a woman who refuses to marry without respect and equality, a radical notion for her time. But success brings its own battles. As her reputation grows, so does the criticism. Literary circles dismiss her work as mere women's stories, failing to recognize the sharp social commentary woven through every page. Her declining health adds urgency to her writing. She works through fever and fatigue, knowing her time may be limited but her message cannot wait. In her final years, Jane completes Persuasion, perhaps her most personal work. It's the story of a woman who gets a second chance at love, but it's really about something more universal: the courage to remain true to oneself despite society's pressures. As she writes the last words, her hands shake not just from illness, but from the weight of what she's accomplished. When Jane dies at 41, she leaves behind more than just novels. She bequeaths a blueprint for quiet rebellion, showing how one person's voice, even when society tries to silence it, can echo through centuries. Her books become more than entertainment. They become instruments of change, inspiring generations of readers to question the limitations placed upon them. Today, Jane Austen's desk sits empty in a museum, but her influence fills libraries, classrooms, and hearts worldwide. Her stories continue to challenge readers to look beyond social constraints and find their authentic voice. But here's the question that matters most: what truths are you holding back? What words remain unwritten in your story? Jane Austen's greatest lesson wasn't about writing perfect prose or crafting clever social commentary. It was about the power of speaking your truth, even when the world isn't ready to hear it. She showed us that real change doesn't always require loud proclamations. Sometimes it comes through persistent, unwavering authenticity. So ask yourself, what would you write if you weren't afraid? What truth would you speak if you knew it could echo through centuries? Your voice, like Jane's, has the power to challenge, inspire, and transform. The only question is whether you'll have the courage to use it. Remember, in a world determined to silence her, Jane Austen wrote, and in doing so, she changed that world forever. What will you change with your voice? On the next episode of Pop Culture Icons, imagine a world where the quiet rebellion of one woman could light the flame of literary genius across generations. Jane Austen's unspoken words echoed through time, inspiring us all to find our voices. But what happens when that voice becomes a roar? What if I told you, in this very week dedicated to literary giants, we're about to meet another icon who turned his inner tumult into a storm of letters? A man who, like Austen, faced society's constraints and personal demons, but unlike her, ultimately succumbed to them. Don't miss Ernest Hemingway's raw, unfiltered journey next. It might just change everything you thought you knew about the price of greatness. Please like, subscribe, and scan the QR code, or follow the pinned link to get our free 7-day email course, The Fame Formula. 7 days, 7 brilliant tactics. Learn the mindset to go from invisible to influential using the dark arts of fame engineering. Click the video that just popped up to watch the next one in this series. Or for episode summaries, behind-the-scenes info, and more, go to daily8.com/PCI. Thanks for watching.